Hey guys, so the Gauntlet in the first week has finished, and today I wanted to talk about the current meta rogue build for the Gauntlet. And in the end I also want to share some thoughts about the Gauntlet in general, so some problems that I see here and things that could be improved in the future maybe. So before we talk about this Barrage build and why it's so powerful in the Gauntlet, we need to understand a few things about this game mode itself. So if you're playing as a rogue especially, then most of your damage in the Gauntlet will come from the shrines itself. So especially the artillery shrine and the shockwave shrine will be your biggest source of damage. So for that reasons, cooldown reduction and mobility and agility of your character is much more important than damage itself, because the shrines will basically just carry you through the entire game. And so you just need to get into this loop where you have all of the shrines active and basically never lose them again. Secondly, killing bosses quickly is also pretty important in the Gauntlet. So especially the first two bosses before you have your shrines active are the most crucial ones, and you just want to nuke them down as quickly as possible. And so the reasons for that are very simple. They provide you with the shrines, and they also give you the highest amount of score points available. So there's no strategy yet where you can just skip bosses or something. And this third the third thing to keep in mind is that attack speed is very important as a rogue especially. So since most of the damage comes from the shrines and especially from the artillery shrine, you just want to scale it further by scaling your attack speed. So attack speed is even more important maybe than damage itself after you have this shrines active. And so after we have learned all of these things, it's pretty easy to understand why Barrage is such a powerful build right now in the Gauntlet. So talking about mobility, we have two mobility skills with Dash and Shadow Step. So if you time them correctly and have proper gear with a lot of cooldown reduction, then it's pretty easy to zoom through this entire map and you have basically no downtimes of these skills. And then we have another big advantage with this build. So since we are not playing with combo points, we are playing with preparation instead. So with preparation, we are allowed to reset all of our cooldowns after casting our ultimate skill. So that is the reason why we need to play with the ultimate skill in our skill bar. So the main purpose is just to reset our cooldowns. And this can be pretty good because it just allows us to get one free charge of Dash and Shadow Step basically in some passages of the run where we just don't have the skills ready yet. And also it can boost our damage a little bit more. So this is already one advantage of this build. Then secondly, the boss killing damage. It's pretty good, it's not the best, so if we would play with something like combo points rapid fire, I believe the boss killing speed would be even higher, so even faster, but it's still decent enough. And Barrage is just an overall good skill, so it's pretty good at bossing and also pretty good at dealing AoE damage. So this combination is pretty good for the Gauntlet right now. And Barrage is the best skill to combine with the artillery shrine. So this is also the main reason, I would say. So with Barrage we just can attack very quickly. So this is already the third point with attack speed. We have a very high attack speed in this build, and we just don't need to care about casting any combo points and stuff like that. We just spam our Barrage, and then everything dies due to the artillery shrines, for example. So it's just the overall best skill for all of these problems that I just talked about that we need to solve, about killing bosses quickly and spamming our attacks as quick as possible, resetting cooldowns. So I would say these are the main benefits from this build. And here you can see, by the way, this is my best run that I was able to achieve this week. It's about 760 points, 760k points. It's not too big. There are some rogues that have reached 1 million already. but I also have to say I'm lacking still some shrine buff duration on my gear, especially on my amulet. So yeah, I hope to improve in the second week. And I think I don't want to show you everything, maybe just the end, so you can check my stats here. So this is my score, 763k, and here I was able to be in this top 50. So here we can see, basically all of these dudes here are, I'm pretty sure they're playing this build, and I saw it first from Meepy. He's also a content creator on YouTube, check him out. I'm not sure if it's his build or it's coming from China or Asia originally, but I also think I saw one Chinese guy also with the same build, but he at least is one of the first guys that I have watched playing this. And now I want to go over all of this gear. So you can see he's playing with Sky Hunter. So another reason why we never run out of energy is we have Sky Hunter and Ring of Starless Skies. Ring of Starless Skies reduces our resource costs by 40%. And Starless Skies also restores energy back every time when we consume stacks of precision. So these two items already give us basically endless energy. And that way we can spam our Barrage. And if you don't have a Ring of Starless Sky, you can play a Mother's Ring instead, or let me check quickly how it's called, Mother's Embrace or something. Yeah, Mother's Embrace. So this ring will also give you tons of resource cost refund, but obviously you will lack this 40% damage. So Ring of Starless Skies is a pretty good item right now, but yeah, if you don't have it, then you in your budget version you would play with Mother's Embrace. So let's go back to the leaderboards and back to Meepy's profile. So yeah, these two items are very important. And then let's talk about the offensive aspects. The offensive aspects are a little bit weird on this build. So we are playing here with this elements aspect, which is kinda okay, but still not the best. And then you can already see here we have aspect of inner calm. So this is something you would never expect in a rogue. But the reason for that is, like I mentioned previously, killing the first bosses is very important in the Gauntlet. So you just can get quicker access to the shrines and just start blasting through the map. So for that reason alone, we want something like inner calm to increase our damage by 40% versus the first bosses. And then of course we have this new Barrage aspect, or this aspect which got buffed in the latest patch, which is pretty good now. And on our amulet we want accelerating, because also, like I mentioned, attack speed is the most crucial thing, since it scales our artillery shrine damage even further. And on the ring we have Edge Masters, which gives us 20% more damage, and we are basically at full energy most of the time. So these are the offensive aspects. And yeah, like you can see here, Rogue doesn't have too many good offensive aspects, so this is the reason why we need to take things like Inner Calm and Elements. But yeah, it is how it is right now. Of course, we're also playing with Tibalt's Will, which gives us 40% more damage. And the Harlequin Crest Shaco gives us also more damage. And if you don't have the Shaco, you can also play with the Godslayer Crown. So the reason for that is you will deal more damage to bosses. So you will lose some damage overall, and you will lose some cooldown reduction for dash, because you will lose the 4 ranks to dash. So this is the reason why Shaco is overall better. But especially for bosses, Godslayer Crown can be a very good alternative for your build. So Godslayer Crown and Mother's Embrace if you don't have the super uniques. Then let's go back to Meepy again. On your chest plate you want Quickening Fog, so the reason for that is you want to reduce your dash cooldown by up to 3 seconds. So in some passages of the Gauntlet map it is possible to dash into a group of enemies, and this will instantly reduce your cooldown by 3 seconds. So this is yeah, very good for keeping the mobility loop active kinda. On your boots, you want Ravages, so your Shadow Step has additional charge. So yeah, like I mentioned, you want as much charges as possible for dash and Shadow Step, obviously. Then very important, you want buff shrine duration, movement speed, and ranks of dash on your boots. So all of these three affixes are very important for the Gauntlet, and especially movement speed and shrine buff duration. And on your amulet, you also want movement speed, shrine buff duration, very important. Then cooldown reduction, which is also important. And the fourth affix can be something like ranks of the exploit passive, and maybe also ranks to weapon mastery or malice if you don't have this perfect amulet here. But yeah, movement speed and shrine buff duration are pretty huge in the Gauntlet. So yeah, on the rest of your gear, on your offensive gear like rings and weapons, you want, of course, dexterity, critical strike damage, core skill damage, or vulnerable and close damage. So to just boost your stats, your offensive stats in that way. And here on your gloves, also pretty interesting tech here. So we have, of course, +4 ranks of Barrage, and then we have double attack speed affixes. So after dodging an attack, we also can get up to 24.8% attack speed for 4 seconds. And we also have a skill in the rogue, which can increase our dodge chance by 12%, I believe. I will show you in a bit. So this is also pretty interesting tech here to even further increase our attack speed. I'm not sure how often this will actually proc, but I think from time to time it's just helpful. So yeah, this is basically the gear, and I can also switch back to my character now. I have also very similar gear. I have made one item swap, I believe. So I'm playing with Grasp of Shadow right now. The reason for that is very simple. I don't have this aspect of Inner Calm. I just throw away all of them when I found one in the game, because I never expected to need one for my rogue. But yeah, here I am now, so I'm missing this Inner Calm aspect, and for that reason I'm playing with Grasp of Shadow instead. So this gives me 6 ranks to all core skills, so this may boost my barrage damage a bit further. But yeah, we'll see. So here I removed my Shaco, that's why I need to put back my skill. And on my skill bar, you can also see that I'm having a slightly different approach. So here, instead of Concealment and Shadow Clone, I'm playing with Poison Trap and Death Trap. And I will explain you in a minute why. So first, let's go with the skill tree quickly. So here we just need to invest 2 points to continue with our core skills. Then we max out Barrage. Actually, what the fuck? Okay, I don't know why I have Rapid Fire skilled here. So here we want to maximize our Barrage, obviously. Then you could take something like Siphoning Strikes, but it's up to you. Here we want Dash to maximize Dash as well, very important, and here take Methodical Dash for further cooldown reduction. Here we want Shadow Step with Disciplined Shadow Step for even more cooldown reduction. Then Enhanced Smoke Grenade, because we are playing with Quickening Fog. So this also, our Dash casts a Smoke Grenade at the end of it, so it might help us sometimes. Then here, that was the skill I was talking about. Here we can increase our dodge chance by 12%. So this makes sense if you have gloves from Meepy, where you have additional attack speed after dodging attacks. And then we go here down to Cold Imbuement. So some players were playing with Shadow Imbuement first, but it's kind of common sense right now that Cold Imbuement is a bit better, so it helps you clear out this first elite packs that you encounter in the game before you have your shrines. So it just gives you the biggest amount of single target damage, combined with Rigid Finesse as well. So that's why Cold Imbuement is slightly superior to Shadow Imbuement right now. Then I put 1 point into Innovation here, but it's not necessary actually. You can also put it somewhere else, like, I don't know, Poison Trap. Yeah, so I'm playing with Poison Trap, and I'm playing with Poison Trap and Death Trap, so instead of Shadow Clone. So I'm playing with Poison Trap because I want to benefit from further damage multipliers in my Paragon board that I will also show you in a second. And so after laying down Poison Trap, my enemies will get more damage from my attacks. And Death Trap can do the same, but only for 1 or 2 seconds, so Poison Trap is just longer active. But Death Trap is, obviously also can increase my damage quickly if I scale it with trap damage. But it also has slightly less cooldown than Shadow Clone. And here you can even reduce your cooldown even further by 12 seconds after killing an enemy. So I think that Death Trap might be superior to Shadow Clone just because of the lower cooldown. But we need to test this in the future more, but for now I'd stay with my version. And here Precision, 195% damage bonus, so yeah, pretty easy. Then here the Paragon board. So Meepy also has shared his Paragon board and skills on his channel. You can check him out. I will leave you a link in the description. But here is my personal Paragon board, and like I mentioned, I have made some tweaks here and there, especially with the trap interactions. So I start off with Ranger, just to get more marksman skill damage. And here we go into this exploit weakness board. So we want this legendary node to boost our damage versus bosses mainly. And here we put our combat glyph because we have tons of intelligence nodes here. Then we go, I think we go here to the right. No, actually we go to the left. Here we have this cunning stratagem board. So we take this dominant node for more core skill damage. We put Pride in, the Pride glyph here. So we get even more core skill damage, and Pride increases our damage by 13% to healthy and injured enemies. So it increases our physical damage. And this is something that also evolved over the time. So first we were focusing on imbuement skill damage, so elemental damage, but with this build it makes much more sense to focus on physical damage, since you attack so quick and you don't care about your imbuments too much in this version. So yeah, physical damage is pretty important. Then here as well we're playing with Chip for more physical damage and another 10% damage multiplier. Here we take of course this critical strike damage on the way, and as well these other nodes here. And then here's my version of this build. So I'm playing with my traps, and for that reason I want Deadly Ambush. So I'm dealing 23% more critical strike damage to enemies affected by my trap skills. And so this is the reason why I play with my Poison Trap and Death Trap, so I can deal this more critical strike, higher critical strike damage. And this is especially helpful for bosses, so I actually only use it versus the first bosses in the game, and it just boosts up my damage quite a bit. And here Ambush also increases my damage by further 10%. And then the last board is this No Witness board here. So here I'm playing with Exploit, which gives me tons of vulnerable damage. And here, this is also a little tech from mine. So I'm playing with No Witness. This also gives me 9% increased damage after using ultimate skills such as Death Trap. And this one scales with ultimate damage bonus. So for that reason on my gear I have this diamonds on my weapons because they give me 15% ultimate skill damage. And also on one of my weapons I have here 28% ultimate skill damage. So this is, I'm not sure if it's really worth it. I just wanted to try this out, and for my gear it makes kind of sense. But if you have the perfect gear, then maybe it's not really worth it and you just want to invest these points into more additive damage. So like here with Ranger you can invest more dexterity points here. So yeah, I'm not sure about this one, but I think it's kind of equal. So in this setup with Death Trap spam you can play with this node as well. So yeah, this is basically my setup here. I hope you have learned something, and now I just want to talk quickly about the Gauntlet itself. So do I enjoy the Gauntlet or not? Well, I have to say I had a lot of fun actually. So I really like thinking about potential routes and finding out the best routes and how to combine it with your build. I really like this process, and I also like to compete. So like you can see, I'm rank 49. So I think there's still a lot of room for improvement, and my goal is to hit this top 50, maybe top 20 pretty consistently over the next weeks. So since I'm a competitive player, I really enjoy competitive gameplay in general, or competitive content. But there are some things as well which I might have changed in the future. So one major thing for me is that bosses are way too powerful in the game. So there's no strategy which can skip bosses. So there's no build, no AoE damage build, which can just skip through all of these bosses and completely ignore single target damage, let's say. So I think it would be much cooler if we would have more build variety with AoE damage focus builds, with single target damage focus builds. So if we have more choices whether we want to kill bosses, all bosses, certain bosses, because right now they are just so powerful that every strategy is built around killing them as often and as quickly as possible. So this is one thing that I am annoyed with. And also secondly, the shrines. So I'm not sure if I would like to keep this for the rest of the game, let's say. So especially in the rogue class, you just feel how powerful the shrines are, and they basically replace your build. So like I mentioned, Barrage is only that powerful because in the Gauntlet most of the damage comes from the artillery shrine. So once you have the artillery shrine, you just don't care about AoE damage anymore. You just spam your Barrage and everything dies just because of this shrine. So this build would not work outside of the Gauntlet, or at least it would not be as powerful as in the Gauntlet. So in the future, I would wish that they would reduce the importance of the shrines from the Gauntlet. So I don't know, I'm not exactly sure how they can achieve that goal. Maybe at one point you just need to completely remove them or nerf them pretty much. But I don't know if it's the best feeling if the major damage and power from your character comes from these shrines alone. So everything is just focused around mobility and hitting the perfect dash and shadow step charges, or I don't know how to explain it. So I'm not sure if this is the way. So this doesn't allow us to have a huge build variety. And I think it would be better with a little bit less shrines and a little bit less focusing on boss kills. So at least these are my 2 cents so far on the Gauntlet. But like I mentioned, overall, I really like competitive gameplay and content. So for me, it's still kind of fun. I'm not sure how long this fun will last. Maybe the second and third Gauntlet will be less exciting over the time, but we'll see. So I hope this video was helpful for you, and I guess I see you in the Gauntlet or next video, guys. Don't forget to leave me a like if you enjoy my content, and have a nice day as always, and bye bye.